Thank you for joining us. We are very excited to be with you today to present Preparing Children for Deployment. Throughout the session, we'll be using the term parent to include all those who care for children. If you are listening to this recording, please email us and we will send you the resources and an invitation to the next Preparing Children for Deployment. Let's chat.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Jennifer Landon and I've been supporting the children and their families for 14 years. And for the past 4 years, I've been here at the H&R MFRC in the role of Child and Family Coordinator, and I am now in the role of Deployment Coordinator. I'm a proud military spouse and I have 2 young boys. I enjoy camping, hiking, especially if there's a waterfall involved, and curling up with my dog and a really good book. Tracy?
Thank you, Jen. I am Tracy Romke. I'm the Child and Family Program Coordinator. I've been supporting families for close to 20 years in different capacities. I'm passionate about providing information and resources related to deployment, mental health, and parenting.
So you found this topic relevant to your life, but you're wondering if it's a right fit for your family. We're going to develop a better understanding of the deployment cycle, learn more about resilience, and learn strategies, tools, and approaches to help children manage separation. We'll do our best to touch on strategies for various ages and stages to reflect on the varying needs of children. If you have specific questions about ages and stages or particular questions about your children, please email us and we'll send you the resources and an invitation to the next Preparing Children for Deployment Let's Chat. Whenever we do any of our parenting workshops, we like to remind parents that there's no such thing as a perfect parent or caregiver. Everyone has a story to tell. Nobody has it all figured out. There's no quick fixes, easy answers, or recipes for parenting. Honestly, sometimes I wish I had a magic wand and I could make everything better. Parents are the true experts on their children, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach to raising children. The information and tools we offer are designed to support parents in developing their own ways of promoting their children's growth and development. We invite you to question and explore the information we provide and choose the tools that make sense to you. This workshop is focused on prevention and personal growth, not counseling or treatment. If that's something you want to explore, we will give you information later on how you can access that support.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. We're going to take a look at the parenting cycle of deployment. So how people react to separation can be highly individual, and there's no right way to do it. However, many military families describe common emotions and experiences which can be summarized in the parenting cycle of deployment. Has anyone seen this before? The parenting cycle of deployment is divided into 3 phases. For today's purpose, we are only going to look at phase 1 and 2. We will look at phase 3 when we offer the Supporting Children Through Reunion workshop. Phase 1, Preparing for Deployment. This stage is divided into 2 parts. Anticipation of loss. This refers to the time period approximately 2 to 3 weeks before departure. Reactions from children during this stage can be different depending on ages and stages. Younger children may have difficulty understanding time, while older children may need time to adapt. Some children may ask if the parent really has to go, while others may not fully understand the reason behind the deployment. In a child's mind, it may feel like the parent is choosing to go away, leaving them feeling abandoned. They may also feel guilty or worried that their behavior is causing their parent to leave or feel resentment towards the parent for leaving. At the same time, the parent who is deploying may be getting excited about the mission, while the parent who will be remaining at home may be focused on household tasks and practical matters, and both are trying to balance family time with supporting the child. Does that sound familiar to anyone? The second phase is detachment and withdrawal, which often occurs in the final week or 2 before departure. Reactions from children may include sensing stress and acting out, having more tantrums, or showing regressive behaviors. Young children might cling to the parent at home and may worry that they will also leave. Children may also withdraw from the deploying parent or feel detached towards them. Parents may also feel the tension and arguments may increase. This is a normal part of mentally and emotionally preparing for the deployment. Now we're going to take a look at the second phase.
Phase 2 is during deployment, which includes disorientation and equilibrium. Disorientation typically occurs in the time frame immediately following departure. Young children might struggle to understand how long the parent will be gone for. Older children may experience mixed emotions of anger and relief from the tension of the previous stage. Children may test their limits and boundaries because of changes in their family and routine. Older children may try to take on the role of the deployed parent, and this may be reinforced by others like grandparents and caregivers. Older children may worry about the safety and comfort of the deployed parent. With more awareness of the world through social media, they may need extra limits to what they view online. The parent at home may also feel overwhelmed as they figure out new routines and supporting the children. And the parent who's away may also feel stress of not being home to help. Equilibrium refers to the stage sometime after the departure when you start to feel like you're getting your feet under you. New routines start to take structure, plans start to take shape, and some things start to settle. There will still be normal ups and downs, particularly if you're experiencing frequent, shorter deployments. The purpose of the parenting cycle of deployment is to give you an idea of the range of stress and reactions, particularly stressful points during deployment, so you can be aware of yourself and your family's feelings and needs. Here are some of the challenges families have shared and some other common concerns. Sleeping challenges, changes in eating, fears or anxious feelings, crying or sadness, resistance to routines, difficulty focusing in school, changes in behavior, emotional outbursts, temper tantrums, discomfort with parent who is away, not sure how to talk to them on Skype or the phone, they might freeze or forget what they want to say. Regression, developmental milestones that have been reached, like toilet training, may be temporarily lost. And connection-seeking behaviors. Those are sometimes also called attention-seeking behaviors, and you know what this looks like for your child. Children react in a variety of ways depending on their age, stage of development, and temperament. All children, even the youngest babies, have a genuine capacity to miss their deployed parent. Young children may not understand why their parent is gone and may not be able to voice their emotions, but they feel the loss of their parent and sense the increased stress in their homes.
Okay, thank you, Jen. So now we're going to look at behaviors. And just like it shows on the slide, sometimes behaviors don't always tell us the whole story of what's going on. So let's dig a little bit deeper. Our children's behavior is how they communicate with us. And it's helpful to be mindful that there could be lots of reasons for their behaviors. And deployment may heighten things at times. But part of these behaviors is part of child development no matter what. We want to try to be stress detectives to help us to identify why we are seeing the behavior so that we can help children reduce the stress, meet and unmeet need, and or teach them how to handle the stress. Possible stressors children may be experiencing might include basic needs. Are they tired, hungry, thirsty? How much exercise or outdoor time have they had? Are they missing their loved one? They may not know how to identify or express their feelings. They may have varying beliefs about their safety or worried about where their important person is. Transitions can be challenging as some children will be unsure about routine, struggle with changing routine because they are not sure what's going to happen next. Parents can try setting predictable routines, even make visual schedules. We are interested in what children are feeling inside, not only what they are doing on the outside. Children who can recognize, acknowledge, and express their feelings appropriately cope better. Even with our babies, we can acknowledge their feelings. The practice continues as we teach toddlers, preschoolers, and school-age children the vocabulary to express themselves. We encourage children to use their words, but we need to make sure they have the words first. I will include feeling words list in the after session email. There are also creative ways to help children express themselves using pictures, games, or even the mindfulness app. We want to teach our kids that all emotions are okay, that feelings come and go, and are temporary changing conditions. They are all states, not traits. Some ways to help our children identify their feelings might sound like, if my mom was going to miss graduation, I'd be feeling all kinds of things like anger and sadness. What else? Or name an emotion and ask if your observation is accurate. It sounds like you're sad about this, right? After feeling their feelings, we want them to think through what they're going to do next, which is where problem solving comes in. Understanding what triggers big feelings and what they can do about them. All feelings are useful. In the after session email, I will include resources by Jennifer Miller, who talks about creating a family emotional plan. Do you find helping your child with feelings easy or hard? Behaviors can be challenging, and at times to understand what's behind them. If you look at the challenges, it can seem overwhelming, but we want to reassure you that it's a normal part of the military lifestyle. These same challenges are also opportunities for growth and developing resiliency. Being human on this earth means that we will have to do hard things, and we are here to show our children that we can do hard things. We know that families generally adapt successfully to deployment, and it requires resilience, the ability to withstand and rebound from life's challenges. Resilience is not a trait or set of characteristics that some have and others don't. It is the interaction between individuals, the family, community, and society. Developing resilience is something that can be built at any point in the life cycle, but certainly childhood is an optimal place to start. Children don't have the lived experiences and skills that adults do to manage life. So they look to you and how you manage your own stress and emotions to learn how to manage theirs. Family resilience is nurtured when families approach difficulties as a shared challenge and view their difficulties as understandable in the light of their situation. Normalize the challenges and put them in perspective. The stages of the cycle of deployment help families to see how each member may be feeling and the emotions that go along with it. As the parent on the home front, your role is to establish security for yourselves and your children when your loved one is away. A big part of this is creating a new normal, which refers to adjusting, adapting, changing and shaping routines into what normal will look like during the deployment. This is also key to shifting from disorientation to equilibrium, which is phase 2 of the deployment cycle we looked at earlier. The strategies we are going to share today provide ideas of how you can strengthen and build resiliency in your family. Children can learn to relieve stress and find ways to respond to challenging situations. By learning to cope with life's ups and downs, children develop healthy strategies which help them adapt, be resourceful, and become more resilient.
Thank you, Tracy. No two kids are exactly the same, and your challenge as a parent is to know and work with your individual child and their emotional needs. For those of you who have more than one child, it means that what works for one child may not be the same for the other, something you probably already know. Just as there are no perfect parents, there are no perfect children. Children are all at different developmental ages and stages, and how they operate in the world is different. Some children are outgoing, others are cautious, some children thrive in new environments and situations, others are more anxious, some have big feelings that they express freely, others keep their feelings more to themselves. There's no right or wrong. What children need is the opportunity to be themselves. Keep in mind that your children always grow and change, but as the parent, you are a constant in this journey. As a parent, you've supported your children through tough times before, and you know how they've coped in the past. When we meet children where they're at and focus on their individual needs, we send the message that we understand them. Helping anxious children find ways to work through their worries instead of brushing them off shows we care. When we stop overscheduling children who need extra downtime, we show them that we get it. When we take the time to teach our high-intensity children how to manage big, scary emotions, we show them that we know that life is hard and sometimes you just need some help. There's a lot to be said for understanding their strengths and accepting their limitations. Finding what works for each child takes time, curiosity, practice, and patience. It is so important to acknowledge and celebrate your child's strengths. It's easy to get caught up in the busy work of parenting, let alone parenting during a deployment. Diapers and dishes, homework, daycare, sports, illnesses. There's always something that needs doing. When you're able to stop and think about your child's strengths, what are they? Take a moment to think about your child's strengths and maybe even write them down for yourself. Recognizing and focusing on your child's strengths also helps us to identify your child's needs and what they can do to meet them. A can-do spirit is where family members acknowledge strengths and abilities of one another and build on potential allows the family to not only survive, but to flourish. Here are some common needs children have. Age-appropriate, honest and open communication at every stage of the cycle of deployment. Examples can include having a family discussion about the deployment and how it will affect everyone. Encouraging children to share their feelings, including children in plans for homecoming. Having conversations about what to expect, and so on. It's important during these busy times that the children are aware of what's going on and that their concerns are heard. There are some strategies you can use for talking to children about deployment. One strategy is to break deployment down into little bites. Children need plenty of time to think and talk about deployment. So where possible, give them as much time in advance. Another idea is to allow your children to take the lead. Ask what deployment means to them to find out what they already understand, and let their questions guide the discussion. Be ready to acknowledge and accept their feelings, especially feelings of sadness and loss. It's also important to remember that you will likely revisit the topic of deployment again and again. Children can be very curious and will pick up bits and pieces of information from adults, other kids, and the news. For younger children, you may want to read storybooks about others experiencing deployment. Sesame Street has some great online resources as well. Finally, a reminder to be concrete. Talk about the location of the deployment, the country, find it on a map, research what people eat, what the weather is like, show them where the deploying member will be sleeping and living, pictures or maybe the real thing. Try to talk about the work in terms they will understand. Knowing what to say is often difficult. When no words come to mind, a hug and saying something like, "This is really hard for you," can be especially helpful for younger children who developmentally are not able to understand everything that is happening. Acknowledging that it is difficult will allow your child to recognize that these as normal feelings. Older children and teenagers benefit from a hug too, if they're going to let you. Children also need unconditional love, especially during times of stress and change. This may include finding creative ways for both parents to show they care. It can be with words, songs, poems, reading stories, notes, coloring, quality time together, both active and quiet. We'll include some of these activities in the after-session email. As well, children need some predictability, reliability, and consistency. If the new normal hasn't quite been sorted out, it's important that children still know what and who they can rely on. When a parent is deployed, things change as they are no longer physically present. The parent at home creates the stability and maintaining of routines and schedules, regular bedtimes, shared meals, celebrations, and milestones. Help your children identify what is the same and what is different about their new routines. It's okay to acknowledge the things that you are not certain about, like exact return dates. Just like in life, this deployment will not always be predictable, and that's okay. Your family will figure it out as you go. By checking in with children, we have the opportunity to get a read on how their needs are being met and what else we can do to support them.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Such great information. Now we're going to take a look at the stop, look, listen method. We're going to see how we can help you work that into your family. Check-ins refer to taking time to stop, look, and listen to your child, teaching them how to do their own check-in, and also how you as a caregiver take the time to check in with yourself. One way to think about doing this is to stop, look, listen, a method by Kids Have Stress Too. So first, stop. Some parents find the best time to talk to their children is when they're doing some everyday activity together. Maybe it's riding in the car or folding laundry. Any quiet time during the day or at bedtime might work as well. It's important to find time when you are relaxed and not feeling rushed and can be together without interruption. You could use the strategy like high-low as a means of asking your children about the highest and lowest points of their day. You can also use a deck of cards. Each person draws a card, and the suit determines what they share. If you draw a heart, it's something you love. A spade is something that makes you feel sad. A club is something that makes you feel angry, and diamonds are for wishes. So if you want to think for a moment in your house, what might be the best time to do a check-in with your child? I know for me personally, that's generally around supper time when the distractions of phones, my children are much older, so phones are put away and we're able to have those conversations. Jen, what works for you guys?
My children are younger. I have a 4-year-old and one just turned 13 months old. So with the 4-year-old, we do it at bedtime. We talk about the best part of the day. We talk about what we're thankful for. And I find because he's so young, he might say, you know, everything was the best part of the day. He does that because he doesn't really necessarily remember everything that happened. The day is long for a 4-year-old. So what I like to do is say, okay, well, this morning we got up and you went to school and you played with your friends at school and you were picked up by mommy, and then we came home, we had this for supper, and we got to play some trains together. So I do a quick review of what the day was like, and that helps him remember what we did throughout the day, and then he picks something, because if I don't do that, he might pick something we did 2 weeks ago. Time is not a concept that a 4-year-old really truly understands very well yet, so it's helpful to remind him what today was when we're trying to figure out what we're thankful for today and what our favorite parts of the day were.
Right, just having those sort of daily affirmation type conversations, even starting as young as 4 with my girls. Again, if they're much older, so we get right into the the nitty gritty of what happens for the day. What was the good part? What was the low part? And how can we work on problem solving to get through those struggles that they may have had that particular day. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing that.
You're welcome.
The next part, we're going to look. So once a day, casually check your child's face. When you look into their eyes, do they look back at you? Does their jaw seem tense and tight? Are they smiling and happy? Do they seem relaxed? Can you remember the last time you actually looked at your child's face? As a parent, I know how hard it can be to find the time to stop and look. The next part is listen. To show you are really interested in your child and what they are saying, sit facing them, look at their face. Listen without speaking, nod your head, and give a nonverbal encouragement. Remember, the tongue works slower than the mind, and it sometimes seems to take forever for young children to say something. It can take even longer if a child is trying to express something difficult or upsetting. It is important to give the child the time. Patience is the key here. Another way of helping children identify their feelings is to read books about separation and feelings. It can give children the words to express themselves rather than assuming that they have all the words to describe their feelings. We will send some of these references in the after session email as well. So on the screen, you can see the stress stoplight. So another way to check in with your child or with your children and yourself is to use a visual reference. On the bottom is the mental health continuum model, which is part of the R2MR program that is used in mental health and self-awareness. Is anyone familiar with this model or have you seen it before? You may have. The continuum is intended to be a tool to better understand mental health and check in with where you are at any given time. The mental health continuum visual helps adults to check in with themselves. We like to think about mental health as a color-coded continuum, like you see in the picture here. Being green means that you are calm and ready to go. A person will not be in green all the time, and you will range into the yellow as you deal with normal stressors. And being in the yellow is normal, but staying in the yellow for prolonged periods of time can affect our physical, physical and mental and spiritual health, and can be a factor for getting into the orange. Using strategies to get back to green is a great way to maintain your wellness. Remember, my normal will be different from your normal. If you find yourself in the orange or red, you may need to reach out for support to get back to green. We'll go over some supports and resources for getting back to green towards the end of the workshop. Parents can use the other visual, the stress stop light, with their children in similar ways. This tool can be used with children as young as 3 years old to help with the whole family use similar language to describe how they are feeling. I'm feeling green today, things are going well, or I'm feeling red today, and I need to change something to feel better. Some families have made pictures of the spotlight together and put it on their fridge or on the door frame so children can point to indicate how they are feeling. Similar to the mental health continuum, the red zone is where children are under too much stress or are feeling upset or overwhelmed. The yellow is when children are ready to make change, so they move to the green and feel better. The green means go. Children are feeling good, playing better, thinking clearer, and are more comfortable. We all want to help our children get to green. Remember, the goal is not a stress-free life. It's about stressing better, and learning strategies that help you move toward green are a part of this. So how do we get back to green? Let's take a look how we can do that.
Thank you, Tracy. So let's look at getting back to green. When we're experiencing a great deal of change and fluctuation in our lives, such as during or leading up to a deployment, we might notice that our bodies react. The mind and body are interconnected. When the body is relaxed, the mind can slow down. When the mind is calm and the body can relax, then the body can relax. Adults can teach children how the mind and body are connected by providing opportunities for movement, stretching, and action. Learning ways to relax helps children to feel better, be less tense or upset, and more confident in themselves. As children learn to identify their own stressors, and when they are in the red, they are better able to use the tools like moving their body to help them become calm. It isn't always easy to relax, but it is an important life skill. What relaxation activities do you and your children use now? It might be helpful to just make a little list of, what you have been using in the past, what you've done, because when, times get tough and you start to get into that orange or the red, and, even when you're getting into that little bit of yellow, if you can look back at your list, then you have a little bit of a plan that you can use. And when you have that little plan, it's faster and easier to start it and get going. We're going to send you a link for a video, and it's from Ottawa Public Health, and it's from MindMasters 2, and it's called Spaghetti Toes. And this is a relaxation exercise that uses the concept of uncooked and cooked spaghetti to teach the difference between muscle tension and relaxation. It's a great way to help children feel the difference between stress and relaxation in their body, and how to appreciate how good it feels to be relaxed. Speaking of feeling good and relaxed, the next strategy is breathe. Breathing is an important tool to give you and your child an opportunity to pause, reboot, and get back on track. When you're worried or stressed, your heart beats faster and you breathe in and out faster. When you slow down your breathing and breathe deeply from your belly, you relax. There are lots of apps that provide breathing exercises for you and your children. Mind Masters and Stop, Think, Breathe are two examples. Breathing and movement strategies are appropriate for all ages and stages. Breathing is a strategy that you carry with you and can be used at any time. Practice breathing with your children when you are all relaxed so you can apply it when stress appears. The way we interpret a situation like deployment is affected, at least in part, by the way we think and the way we talk to ourselves about it. Families have shared that when they view deployment as a problem or something to resist and fight against, their ability to cope has been limited. In contrast, when families have taken a more accepting view of the deployment as being a reality versus being the problem, it becomes easier to manage. Likewise, if children perceive an event or stressor as beyond their ability to cope, they will experience higher levels of stress. If children make a situation huge or overwhelming, they create even more stress by catastrophic thinking. How our children learn to deal with life has a lot to do with how we as parents view life and handle problems. Parents can assist children by respecting their thoughts and feelings while offering reassurance and support, helping children develop more realistic perspective of the situation and encouraging children to use positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is when we talk nicely to ourselves. It reduces stress by helping us stay calm, highlight our strengths, and confirm what we are capable of doing. Preschoolers to 6-year-olds will often imitate and observe thoughts, beliefs, and language from those around them. This is an especially important age for parents to model positive self-talk and affirm the best qualities in their children. Children can use self-talk strategies like affirmations. I am smart, funny, lovable, and kind. Positive self-statements. I can ride my bike. I can share my toys. I can do well on my test. Self-praise. I did it. Good for me. Hooray! Children naturally use self-talk when they play. Parents can join in by using puppets and stuffed animals and speaking of them in a positive way. Children as young as 6 to 9 are able to notice negative thoughts and start to change them. Instead of saying things like, I can't do this, I'm a loser, no one cares about me, or this is dumb, we can ask children what the alternate statement might be. This might include, I'm getting better at this, I'm learning. I can ask for help from the people who love me, or I'm learning something new. Another strategy that Kids Have Stress Too talks about is talking nicely to myself, 2 voices. Parents can help children imagine that they have 2 little people on each shoulder. One is a friendly little buddy who cheers for you, says good things about you, and sticks up for you. The other is a mean, critical buddy who points out all your mistakes and calls you names. We can encourage children to listen to their buddy voice instead of their bully voice. Another way to help children notice their thoughts is to watch out for negative messages that can pop up. Sometimes these pop-ups have them thinking about all the terrible things that could happen. In many ways, they will be unable to cope. You can teach your children to catch and change negative pop-ups for more encouraging thoughts. An activity you could use is called remote control. Children visualize a remote control and think about a feeling for each button, happy, angry, nervous. And if they're on the angry button for too long, encourage them to think of things that can make them calm so they can change channels. This is not to discourage feelings, but to help children put coping strategies into place. We'll include the pop-ups and talking nicely to myself handouts in the after-session email, so you consider them both and decide what works best for your child.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. So many great skills and strategies for families to try at home. Imagination is another skill that helps children relax their minds and bodies. Ask children to imagine a place they feel calm, happy, and peaceful. It can be a real or imaginary. Children can draw or write about their special place. You can use imagination as a strategy to help children feel more connected with the parent who is away. There are a lot of imagination activities you can try. Some families have shared with us that they like to look at the moon together at night and imagine that their loved one is looking at the same moon wherever they are. Some families have also shared that at dinner time they imagine what their loved one is having for dinner that day. The Night Catch is a book about a father and son playing catch while he's deployed. We'll include info in the after-session email. With older children who have a better understanding of time, you can figure out what time it is, where their loved one is, and imagine what they might be doing. Are they sleeping? Are they having their dinner? Are they reading a book or playing a game? These can make a loved one not feel so far away and keeps them as part of the children's routine. So part of building resiliency is mastering the art of the possible, doing what you can, accepting what can't be changed, and living with some uncertainty. Problems and challenges are a normal part of life and part of a deployment. How do you know when your child has a problem? Even with children's great imagination, they can get stuck in the red zone and become frustrated, angry, or upset when encountering problems. Problem solving is one of the most important skills children can learn. Even young children can learn how to problem solve simple child-sized problems. Children who learn to solve problems are able to move from the red zone to the green zone. They learn to make choices about the things that bother or upset them, and by facing their problems and learning to solve them, they develop confidence in themselves and become capable people. The first step is to identify the problem. The second step is to figure out how big of a problem it is to your child. As you can see in the picture, the number of fingers indicates how big a problem it is. One finger being a small problem, and all 5 fingers being a big problem. Keep in mind that parents and children often are not on the same page with how big the problem is. To them, the problem may be a 5, but to you as the adult, the problem may only be a 1. It's important to have these discussions and to listen to what your children are telling you. Step 3 is to identify options to solve the problem. It is hard not to solve problems for children, but we need to let them come up with possible solutions and help them think them through. Step 4 is to choose which option they would like to try. Imagine what may happen and put it into action. Step 5 happens at a later time. Check in on how the solution works. Family meetings are a great way to work through problem solving together and strengthen the connections of family members. In order to teach problem solving, especially with younger children, we want to work with them through these steps and give them the sense that you can work through it together, but you empower them to come up with some of the solutions. We can coach through questions, active listening, and reflection. Some questions you could ask are, so what do you think we should do? Where do you think we should go from here? What's the best way forward? And what do you think? If you were in my position, what would you do? If a child is really stuck, you can say, I've got some ideas, I can share them, and then see which ones they may be willing to try. So what does problem solving look like in your family? Have you ever tried family meetings? It's an opportunity for everyone to be heard and problem solve together. We'll include resources on family meetings in the after-session email as well.
So up to this point in the workshop, we've spent a lot of time talking about how you as the parent at home can connect with your child and some strategies of getting back to the green. Now we want to take a look at how your child can stay connected with the parent who's away and how both of you and your child can stay connected with your broader community. What are you doing right now or are thinking of doing to keep connected with the parent who's away or will be away? Keeping connection is about finding ways to keep the deployed parent present in the day-to-day family life. Brainstorm ways to keep the connection, even before they leave. Invite older children to share past deployment experiences with their younger siblings, if applicable. Strategies can include talking about the deployed parent during regular conversations with your children, at dinner time, bedtime, or while playing. You can also map the deployed parent's route. Children can research with their parent where their parent is traveling to, what language might be spoken there, what type of money might be used, etc. Involve children in coming up with a communication plan, including home, phone, Skype, FaceTime, email, whatever works for your family. But be sure to remind children that the plan can't always be perfectly followed. Older children may benefit from receiving emails, texts, and letters of their own from their deployed parent. During calls, encourage the deployed parent to ask children about their lives, their friends, activities, schools, pets, etc. Some families have noticed that children may forget what they wanted to talk about or get shy when speaking with the deployed parent. It may be helpful to keep track of ideas as they come up. You can write ideas down on a whiteboard or a notepad and keep them in a jar or box for when calls are scheduled. Some families have shared that they have the deployed parent record themselves reading children their favorite stories to listen to before bed, or record goodnight messages on their phone, or record messages of encouragement. This could be helpful if children are involved in activities where they may need that boost of, "You've got this, I believe in you." Take note of special occasions and discuss unique ways for the deployed parent to participate. This may be with pre-made cards, voice recordings. Get creative. Remember, you don't have to go it alone. Military families are fortunate to have a broad network of resources and supports available to them. There are other people in your children's lives that they have daily or weekly contact with. It's a good idea to talk with them about the deployment so that they're aware of what's going on in your child's life. Child care providers and teachers can observe how your child is doing and provide reassurance and support. It can also be helpful to assist your school-age child in telling their friends about their parents' deployment if they are willing to do so. Remember, kids may be sensitive around the subject. Be sure to let them take the lead with when and how they may want to tell their friends. Let children know there are other children who share similar feelings about their parents' deployment. Deployment activities at the MFRC provide the chance for children to spend time with others who are experiencing the same thing. If we are unable to do them in person, we will be holding them virtually. Here are some resources you can turn to in tough times for support. For more information and for specialized services, if there are specific concerns for yourself and your child, Strongest Families is a fabulous no-cost option available to you. It offers parenting coaching by telephone to families wherein a child or youth is struggling with anxiety or behavioral challenges. Strongest Families also has a program for adults called ICAN, Conquering Anxiety and Nervousness. Too often, people wait too long to reach out for support for all kinds of reasons and challenges and get to the red zone before support is accessed. Most children will be able to adjust to a new normal after departure of a parent. However, some children may continue to have serious symptoms of stress, and their ability to function at home, school, and in social settings may be impacted. The primary difference between a normal and serious reaction is one of degree and duration. Parents are encouraged to seek help from their family doctor, social worker, the MFRC, counselor, or padre. If they have a concern about their child, who know the resources are there, know that these resources are there for you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have spent a lot of time today talking about you as parents and how you can support your child and the deployment. However, we need to acknowledge that you have needs as an individual too. Taking care of yourself is as important as any other strategies we have discussed so far. Just like you can't run forever on an empty tank, you can't serve from an empty cup. Self-care is how you give to yourself, to refill your cup so you have something to give to others. Some gentle reminders. We all know that maintaining a healthy lifestyle is important, but it can be hard to do so. Try to get adequate sleep, exercise, and eat healthy. Nurture a support system. It can balance the effects of stress and can have a positive impact on mental health outcomes. One way is to join programs at the MFRC. Plan time for rest and fun. Unfortunately, when we are stressed, one of the first things we give up is fun. We say to ourselves, I don't have time for fun. However, it's what fuels us and gives us back more energy than it drains. So we must keep this element in our lives during the absence. Try to recognize limits and take breaks, ensuring adequate downtime. This could mean pulling over to the side of the road for 5 minutes before picking the kids up, just to take a deep breath. Balance demands and priorities. Learning to say no to unrealistic demands or simply things that are not a priority is a skill that will be extremely helpful during deployment. Keep connected to your loved one who is away. Develop a communication strategy between yourselves. How often will you try to talk, maybe without the children present? What is and is not okay to talk about? How much detail is wanted? And what little things can you do to show each other that you care and appreciate one another as you co-parent together? Remember that when it comes to stressors in our life, we can't control everything. As an example, the fact that your loved one is going to be away for a period of time is out of your control. However, what can you control? Put your energy into these things and choose your battles. So just want you to think about it for a minute. What is the one thing that you will do during the deployment to take care of you? Okay. And that brings us to the end of our session. So we've gone over a lot of information. We appreciate you joining us. And if you're watching this recording, we do invite you to send us an email, and we will send the resources and invite you to join our next Preparing for Deployment Let's Chat session. And again, thank you for listening. All the best to you and your family.